At Thanksgiving dinner, my husband's family handed out gifts to everyone but me. His mother smirked, "We just forgot about you." My husband laughed along with them. I smirked back and said, "That's okay, I didn't forget about you." Their smiles faded as they opened my gift and realized what it meant. My husband, Mike, is close to his family. And by his family, I mean his mother and two sisters. They're a tight little trio, and I've never been able to break into their circle. I've been married to Mike for 6 years, and in all that time, I've been treated like an outsider. It started small. Little things, like how they would plan family trips and forget to invite me. Or how, at every gathering, they would reminisce about things from before I came along, making sure I had nothing to contribute. Barbara, my mother-in-law, was the worst. She had a way of smiling at me while cutting me down, a way of excluding me so casually that if I ever complained, I would look crazy. My sisters-in-law, Sharon and Diane, were just as bad. They followed Barbara's lead, throwing in their own snide comments when they could. Mike always told me to ignore it. He never defended me, never called them out, never told them to stop. He would just laugh and tell me I was overreacting. And I let it slide, because I loved him. Thanksgiving was always at Barbara's house. She loved hosting. She would spend weeks bragging about her handmade centerpieces and her famous stuffing. It was always a production. Every year, I told myself that this time would be different. I told myself that they wouldn't make me feel invisible. I was wrong. We arrived at her massive, perfectly decorated Connecticut home in the late afternoon. The house smelled like cinnamon and turkey, and everything looked like a Hallmark movie. Barbara had outdone herself. The moment we stepped in, I felt it. That familiar feeling. Like I didn't belong. Sharon and Diane greeted Mike with big hugs, then turned to me with polite little smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Barbara barely acknowledged me. Mike, of course, didn't notice. Dinner was fine. At least, as fine as it could be when I had to listen to Barbara talk about Sharon's promotion and Diane's new house, while ignoring me completely. I kept quiet. I smiled when appropriate. I didn't let them see how much it bothered me. But then, after dinner, Barbara clapped her hands together. Before dessert, we have a little surprise. Every year, Barbara did a Thanksgiving gift exchange. It wasn't really an exchange. It was more of a performance. She loved playing the role of the generous matriarch, handing out gifts to show how much she loved and appreciated her family. One by one, she handed out presents. A designer purse for Sharon. A spa gift certificate for Diane. A bottle of expensive whiskey for Mike. Even the grandkids got new toys. Everyone in the family received something. Everyone but me. Barbara turned to me with a smile. "Oh, we just forgot about you." And then she laughed. So did Sharon. So did Diane. And then, the worst part, Mike laughed too. It hit me like a slap. Years of biting my tongue. Years of being ignored. Years of being treated like I wasn't worth remembering. And Mike thought it was funny. I felt a wave of something cold and sharp settle inside me. I smiled back. "That's okay," I said. "I didn't forget about you." The laughter stopped. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small, neatly wrapped box. I handed it to Barbara. Her smile faltered. She hesitated before taking it, glancing around as if expecting some kind of trick. The room was silent. "Go ahead," I said. "Open it." Barbara peeled back the wrapping paper slowly. Inside the box was a thick stack of papers. She frowned and pulled them out, scanning the first page. Her face changed. The color drained from her cheeks. She flipped to the next page. Then the next. Her hands started shaking. Sharon leaned over. Diane, too. They read over her shoulder. And then I saw it. That moment of horror when they realized what it was. Their surprise, Barbara's business, her beloved catering company, was in trouble. I knew, because I had spent the last few months looking into it. Barbara had been underreporting her income for years. She had been hiding money, claiming losses that didn't exist, and dodging taxes in ways that were very illegal. And I had proof. All neatly compiled. All carefully documented. All ready to be sent to the IRS. Barbara looked up at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. I took a sip of my wine. "Oh, I had some time on my hands while you were busy forgetting me." Barbara's husband snatched the papers from her hands. His face turned red as he read through them. "Barbara, what the hell is this?" Sharon and Diane started flipping through the pages, their expressions going from confusion to panic. "Mom?" Diane's voice was shaky. "What is this?" Barbara didn't answer. She couldn't. Because she knew. She knew exactly what it was. She knew that her entire business, her livelihood, her perfect reputation, it was all about to go up in flames. Mike just stared at me. He wasn't laughing anymore. No one was. And I wasn't done yet. The room was dead silent except for the sound of flipping pages and sharp, panicked breathing. Barbara's hands trembled as she clutched the papers. Sharon and Diane looked at their mother like she was a stranger. And Mike? Mike just sat there, frozen, staring at me like he didn't recognize me. I let the silence stretch, savoring it, letting them feel the weight of what had just happened. Then Barbara did what Barbara always did when she was cornered. She went on the attack. "You little B***TCH, she hissed, voice shaking. "You don't know what you've done." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I think I do." She turned to Mike, grasping for control. "Are you just going to sit there? Do something?" Mike blinked, like he was waking up from a dream. His mouth opened, then closed. His eyes darted from me to the documents. Then he said the worst possible thing. "Why would you do this?" Not to his mother. To me. Like I was the one who had just humiliated him. Like I was the one who had crossed a line. I felt something inside me snap. Barbara saw it. She must have, because her expression twisted into a triumphant smirk. She thought I would fold. She thought Mike taking her side would make me feel small. She thought wrong. Barbara slammed the papers down on the table. "This is fake. You made this up." Sharon, still staring at the numbers, looked up. "Mom, this looks real." Diane flipped through the last page, her voice hollow. "These are tax forms." "No," Barbara snapped. "This is a setup. You set me up." I smiled. "Oh, honey, you set yourself up." Her hands curled into fists. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "Did you think I wasn't paying attention all these years?" Barbara gasped like I had hit her. "Did you think I wouldn't notice how you treat me? How you laugh at me? How you exclude me?" Mike shifted uncomfortably. His sisters wouldn't meet my eyes. Barbara opened her mouth, but I kept going. "You've been committing tax fraud for years, Barbara." Sloppy, too. Her husband, who had been silent this whole time, spoke up. "How much trouble is she in?" I tilted my head. "If she fixes it fast? Maybe just fines. But if the IRS really digs in?" I clicked my tongue. "It could be bad." Barbara's face went pale. Her husband rubbed his forehead. "Jesus Christ, Barbara." Mike finally seemed to realize how serious this was. "Mom, what did you do?" Barbara snapped. She turned on me, eyes blazing. "You ungrateful little tramp. I let you into this family. I fed you." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Let me into this family?" I repeated. "Barbara, you forgot about me tonight on purpose. Just like you've been doing for 6 years." She had no defense. And then came the twist I didn't see coming. Sharon suddenly slammed the papers down. "How did you know to look into this?" she asked. I raised an eyebrow. "What?" Diane's eyes narrowed. "No one just digs into someone's taxes. You had to suspect something." A weird feeling crept into my stomach. Because they were right. I hadn't started looking into Barbara's finances because of the petty insults. I had done it because of something else. Something I wasn't supposed to know. Barbara was hiding money. And not just from the IRS. She was hiding it from someone else, too. Her own family. And that's when I realized. Barbara wasn't just committing tax fraud. She was stealing. From them. Sharon and Diane started flipping through the papers again, faster this time. "Mom," Sharon's voice was sharp now. "Why do some of these deposits say personal expense?" Diane frowned. "Wait, why are there withdrawals from Dad's account?" Barbara froze. Her husband turned to her slowly. "What the hell is she talking about?" Barbara's eyes darted around the room. I could see it happening, her mind racing, trying to come up with a lie, an excuse, anything. But Sharon and Diane weren't letting up. "You told us you didn't have any money to help with my house." Diane hissed. "You said you couldn't lend me anything when I lost my job last year." Sharon added. Barbara was sweating. Her husband snatched the papers again, flipping through them with wide eyes. "Barbara, answer them." For the first time that night, Barbara was speechless. Mike looked at me, his face a mix of shock and betrayal. Like he wasn't sure if I had just saved his family or set off a bomb. I met his gaze. And I waited. Because this was about to get so much worse. The silence in the room was thick, like the air before a storm. Barbara's eyes darted wildly, searching for a way out. But there was none. Sharon and Diane were both staring her down, flipping through the papers faster now, their minds catching up to what I had already pieced together. Barbara hadn't just been cheating the IRS, she had been stealing from her own family. And she knew it. Her husband, Richard, was gripping the papers so tightly his knuckles had gone white. His face had turned an ugly shade of red. "Barbara, what the hell is this?" Barbara opened her mouth, closed it again. Sharon's voice was shaking. "You lied to us." Diane was even paler than before. "You said there was no money to help us when we needed it. But you had it. You were hoarding it." Mike still wasn't saying anything. He just kept looking between me and his mother, like he was trying to solve a puzzle that was right in front of his face. Barbara's hands twitched. I could see the gears in her head grinding, working, searching for a way to take control again. She took a breath and made a choice. Her voice dropped into that tone, the same sickly sweet, condescending tone she always used when she wanted to manipulate people. Girls. Sweethearts. You're misunderstanding. Sharon's head snapped up. Don't. Barbara blinked. Don't sweetheart me, Mom. We're not stupid. Diane nodded. You stole from us. Lied to us. For years. Barbara's lip curled. And where do you think you got your nice things from, huh? You think life is fair? You think you didn't benefit from what I've done? Oh. The temperature in the room dropped. That was the wrong thing to say. Because now her daughters weren't just angry. They were disgusted. Barbara realized it too. Her eyes widened, just for a second. And then she turned to the one person who had always defended her. Mike. She grabbed his hand. Michael, honey. You don't believe this, do you? Mike flinched. For the first time that night, he looked uncomfortable. I watched his face, saw the cracks forming in real time. His mother was lying. His sisters were furious. His wife had just exposed everything. And Mike had to choose. His voice, when he finally spoke, was unsteady. Mom? Barbara tightened her grip. They're trying to turn you against me. Mike turned to me. His face was strange. I could see the questions in his eyes, the battle in his head. I stared back. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I just waited. And then, he made his choice. Did you steal from Dad? Barbara jerked back like she had been slapped. Michael, did you? His voice was louder this time, sharper. Barbara's mouth snapped shut. That was it. That was the moment. Because if there was one thing Mike had always believed in, it was his father. And now? His mother was looking at him with guilt on her face. Barbara's silence was her answer. And Mike knew it. Sharon stood up suddenly, shoving the papers into Richard's hands. Dad, look at the last page. Richard flipped to the back, scanning the document, and froze. His face went from red to gray. His hands shook. And then he looked up at Barbara like he had never seen her before. You, his voice cracked. You drained my retirement account? The room went silent. Diane gasped. Mike's eyes snapped to his mother. What? Barbara's entire face twisted. I did what I had to do. You stole from me. Richard's voice boomed through the room. Barbara flinched. I worked my whole life for that money, Barbara. We built a life with that money. And you. Richard staggered back, breathing hard. His hands were shaking so badly that the papers slipped from his grip, scattering across the floor. Nobody moved. Barbara's eyes darted around, desperate now. I was going to fix it, stop lying. For the first time ever, I saw real fear in Barbara's eyes. Sharon turned to Diane. We're done. We're cutting her off. Diane nodded immediately. Barbara's head snapped up. You can't do that. Watch US. And then, something crashed. We all turned just in time to see Richard gripping his chest. And collapsing. For a split second, nobody reacted. Then chaos. Mike lunged forward. Dad? Dad? Sharon and Diane screamed. Barbara's hands flew to her mouth, her face a mask of shock. Richard? Richard, I was already on my phone, calling 911. The operator picked up. 911? What's your emergency? I forced my voice to stay calm. We need an ambulance. Now. The next 10 minutes were a blur. Barbara was crying hysterically. Sharon was shaking her father. Diane was frozen. Mike was pale, shaking, mumbling, Dad, hold on, please, hold on. And I stood there, watching everything Barbara built fall apart. And knowing this wasn't even the worst part. Because Richard wasn't just a man who had been betrayed. He was a man who had lawyers. And if he survived this night, Barbara was about to lose everything. The paramedics arrived fast. The second they rushed through the door, Barbara collapsed into hysterics. Oh my God. My Richard. Please help him. She threw herself forward like a grieving widow in some dramatic movie. But I noticed something. She wasn't touching him. She wasn't holding his hand or brushing his hair back or whispering to him. She was just performing. Mike was the one gripping his father's hand, his whole body trembling. Sharon and Diane were standing back, their faces pale and unreadable. I just watched. Because I had seen this before. Barbara knew she was losing. And Barbara didn't lose. So she was trying to spin the story in real time, shaping herself into the poor, devoted wife instead of the woman who had just been caught stealing from the man she claimed to love. I almost felt sick. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. No one spoke. I rode with Mike, but he didn't look at me. Not once. Not when we parked. Not when we walked inside. Not when we sat in the waiting room. It was Sharon who finally broke the silence. Mom, what the hell were you thinking? Barbara didn't answer. She was sitting stiffly in a plastic chair, dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue, looking like she had been personally victimized. Sharon kept going. You stole from Dad. You stole from all of us. Diane shook her head, voice sharp. And you lied. For years. Barbara's mouth twitched. And then she turned to Mike. Because Mike was her last chance. Michael. Her voice was soft, full of fake sorrow. Sweetheart, you don't believe I meant to hurt anyone, do you? Mike flinched. His jaw clenched. And then he turned to me. Not his mother. Me. His voice was low. Was this your plan all along? I went completely still. What? His eyes burned into mine. Was this the revenge you wanted? Destroying my family? I felt my stomach drop. Hard. Barbara's shoulders relaxed. She had just won him back. After everything. After all the lies. After stealing from him, from his sisters, from his father. After letting her own husband collapse on the floor. She was still more important to him than me. I stared at him, my mouth dry. Are you serious? Sharon's head snapped up. Mike, don't do that. Diane looked disgusted. Mom did this to herself. But Barbara pounced. She leaned toward Mike, touching his arm, voice gentle. You've always been the only one who really understood me. And Mike, let her. That was it. That was the moment I felt nothing for him anymore. I stood up. Slowly. Barbara's gaze flicked to me, her smile small and satisfied. Because she thought she had won. I let out a small breath. And then I laughed. Barbara's smile faltered. What's so funny? I shook my head. You, Barbara. You're funny. She stiffened. Mike grabbed my wrist. Just stop, okay? I yanked free. And then I let it all out. No, Mike. You stop. Everyone froze. I turned to Barbara first. You treat me like garbage for 6 years. You exclude me, humiliate me, make me feel like I don't belong. And the second I fight back, I'm the villain. Barbara opened her mouth, but I wasn't done. I turned to Mike. You let them treat me like this. His face hardened. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. I let out a sharp breath. Your mother stole from your father, lied to your sisters, and you're still sitting here, defending her. His jaw locked. I shook my head. You were never on my side. Not once. And I was done waiting for that to change. I pulled my wedding ring off and dropped it into his hand. His eyes widened. What are you doing? Leaving. Barbara sucked in a breath. Oh, don't be dramatic. I laughed again. Dramatic? Barbara, I just burned your life to the ground in under an hour. Her face twisted. Sharon and Diane didn't stop me. Neither did Richard when he woke up and found out everything. He filed for divorce. Barbara lost everything. And Mike? Mike tried to reach out weeks later. Said he finally understood what I'd been trying to tell him for years. I blocked his number because I wasn't waiting for him to choose me anymore. I had already chosen myself.